23rd February 2023 Morning Murli Shanti BapDada Madhupan. Sweet children, your duty is to caution one another by reminding them of the Father and the inheritance. Benefit for everyone is merged in this. Question: what deep secret that even scientists cannot understand, do your children understand? Answer: you understand that a soul is an extremely subtle star and that all the sanskars are in the soul. Each soul plays his own part through a body. The body is now living, whereas the soul is living. In the same way, the Supreme Soul is also a star. He has all the knowledge. He is the seed of the human world. He is the truth and a living being. He is not brighter than 1,000 suns. Only your children understand this deep secret. Scientists cannot understand these things. First of all, your children have to give everyone the recognition of souls and the Supreme Soul. Song: Mother, O Mother, you are the bestower of fortune for all. Shanti. The Father says to your children, may you be spinners of the discus of self-realization. The Father has cautioned you children in this way. You children then also have to caution one another. By remembering the Father, you quickly have that intoxication. By reminding one another, you caution one another. When you meet someone, you greet each other with Namaste, but there is no benefit in that. There is only benefit when your children caution one another. Everything is included in the expression spinner of the discus of self-realization. It has the introduction of the Father, the status, and the cycle. Therefore, it is your first and foremost duty to caution one another. By reminding them, they will be careful. You repeatedly have to caution one another. Content to remember the Father and the inheritance. Become spinners of the discus of self-realization. Consider yourselves to be bodiless and remember the bodiless Father. Remembrance means yoga. It is only by having yoga that your body becomes free from disease. This is the effort to make at the present time. At the end, when you reach your karmatit stage, you will become completely free from disease. At the moment, you are still effort makers. At the moment, the Father is sitting here and explaining to you children because he knows that all of you are senseless. When people worship deities, etc., none of them knows what their means the deity's occupation was. Therefore, you have to explain to them. We can tell you everyone's biography. First of all, the main thing to know is the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Many people are confused about this too. They say God doesn't have a name or form. So the first and foremost thing to tell them is the difference between a soul and the Supreme Soul, and also this knowledge. You know that all are souls. It is said, charitable soul, sinful soul. You would not say sinful Supreme Soul. This is an impure word. God cannot be impure. This is why human beings first have to know about souls, because no human beings have knowledge of souls. It is souls that listen. It is souls that eat and drink. The soul does everything through these organs. What is the form of a soul? They say a wonderful star sparkles in the center of the forehead. Therefore, you have to explain to them the form of a soul. The form of a soul is not that large. A soul is extremely subtle. The form of a soul is a zero or a point. You should now think about how subtle a soul is. People ask, How does a soul leave a body? Where does he leave from? Some say he leaves the body through the skull. Some say that he leaves the body through the eyes because a body has many doors. However, it is so wonderful to know what a soul is. Some ask, how does a soul leave a body? They don't ask, how does a soul enter a body? First of all, you have to know what a soul is. Such a tiny soul has a part of 84 births recorded in him. These matters are most wonderful. A soul is truly like a star. It cannot be called big. When an aeroplane goes high up, it appears to be very small. However, souls are not big. They only have one form. Therefore, you should first of all know about souls. How does the soul enter this body? Some people have visions as though there is a star. That tiny soul has all knowledge recorded in him. That soul is just one. This is a great wonder. No one knows about the form of God. In fact, as is a soul, so the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. He is the Father, although a father and children here are bigger and smaller. Souls are not bigger or smaller. There is no difference between the form of souls and the form of the Supreme Soul, but there is a difference between the parts and the sanskars of everyone. The Father explains what sanskars he has and what sanskars your souls have. Because of not knowing the form of souls and the Supreme Soul, people have said that souls and the Supreme Soul are one and the same. They have created great confusion. It is very essential to know this. There is God and also Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar. Each of them has a soul in him. Jagadamba Saraswati is called the goddess of knowledge. Therefore, the soul of Saraswati would surely have knowledge. However, what knowledge does she have? No one knows this. They simply call her the goddess of knowledge. When there are articles, etc., printed in the newspapers, you can explain about them. You say that Saraswati is the goddess of knowledge. But what knowledge does she have, and when does she give it? She must definitely have received that knowledge from God. What is the form of God? How was she given the name Goddess of Knowledge? It is God who is knowledgeful. How did he make Saraswati knowledgeful? You should make someone stand at the conference age with just this one aspect. Baba says, I explained to you what Sanjay means Jagdish Bhai is the instrument to write about it. That one is the number one main actor. He should be Baba's right hand. However, the destiny of the drama is such that he has to live in Delhi. He has the same part as in the previous cycle. Arjuna's name is remembered as the main one. You children now understand the meaning of everything. First of all, you have to understand about souls and the Supreme Soul. The Father has explained to you children how a soul is a star and how all the knowledge is recorded in him. None of the scientists would be able to understand this. All the sanskars are in souls. A soul is a star. Okay, so what is the form of God? He is the Supreme Soul. There is no difference. The praise that people sing of him being brighter than 1,000 suns is wrong. The Father says, it is just that you souls don't have knowledge. I, the Supreme Soul, am knowledgeful. This is the only difference. Maya has made your souls impure. However, it is not that a soul is a flame that has been extinguished. It is just that the knowledge of the Father and creation has disappeared from souls. You are now receiving it. Baba has knowledge, and that is in the soul. He isn't any larger. He is called knowledgeful, and Saraswati is also called knowledgeful. However, when did she receive knowledge? Whose daughter is Saraswati? No one knows this. Therefore, it should enter your hearts how you can explain to them who is God the Father. You also have to explain that He is a star and that He has all knowledge in Him. God the Father is the seed of the human world. He is the unlimited Father of everyone. He is the truth and a living being. He has true knowledge in Him. He is also called the truth. No one else has true knowledge in Him. Only the one Father is the Creator. So He definitely has the knowledge of the whole creation in Him. He is the seed of the tree. A soul is living, whereas a body is not living, and it becomes living when a soul enters it. The Father explains, I am that same one. A soul cannot be larger or smaller. Just as you are souls, so God is the supreme soul, and His praise is the highest of all. He is the seed of the human world. Only human beings remember Him. You know that the Father resides up above. Souls see through these organs. O Supreme Father, Supreme Soul, people don't know this because they are body conscious. You have now become soul conscious. You have the faith that you are souls. You know that only the incorporeal one is called God. You are His children. God comes and gives you knowledge. He is called the knowledgeful and blissful one. He has been given the praise, the ocean of mercy, the ocean of happiness, the ocean of peace. Therefore, your children should definitely receive the inheritance from the Father. It is because He came and gave the inheritance at some time that He has been remembered. The praise of the deities is separate from the praise of the Father. He is the Father of all souls because He is the Creator. He is called the seed. First of all, you have to give His introduction. It is shown in the scriptures that He is thumb-shaped. We say that He is a point of light. We have also created the picture, but He is not that big. He is extremely subtle. So, what should we explain? They would ask us, why have you shown such a big image in the picture? Tell them, what else should we have? He is just a point. So, how would you worship Him? How would you offer Him milk? That form was created in order to worship Him. However, you understand that He is the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, who resides in the Supreme Abode. That Supreme Abode is our sweet home. The incorporeal world is the original home. Then there is the subtle region, and then the corporeal world. The Father resides in the incorporeal world. The soul says, I want to go to the land of nirvana, where there aren't even these organs. A soul comes and adopts a body. How can you explain where souls leave a body from? You know that each soul enters a fortress, which then becomes living. It is such a tiny soul, and all his sanskars are recorded in him. Then, one by one, the sanskars of each birth emerge. The Father explains, you have to understand everything very well. You can also explain about Saraswati. Whose daughter is she? At this time, none of you can be called goddesses. Saraswati is the daughter of Brahma. Therefore, he must be the god of knowledge. It is shown that knowledge was given through the lotus lips of Brahma. Therefore, Brahma's name is also mentioned. At this time, you are Brahmins. Although a soul may be becoming pure, the body cannot be pure. This is a Tamapradhan body. The Father explains, children continue to caution one another and continue to make progress. Do you remember the Father and the inheritance? Do you remember the discourse of self-realization? Baba says, not a single one would caution anyone in this way. By remembering the Father, you become conquerors of sleep. There is a lot of income earned in this. There is no tiredness when earning an income. However, you also have to do physical work, and this is why there is tiredness. The father explains, even stay awake at night and talk to Baba. You have to dive into the ocean of knowledge, just as an animal dives into water. So by diving in this way and by churning the ocean of knowledge, you can see that you receive many points. They emerge from nowhere. This is staying awake at night and churning the ocean of knowledge. People don't know anything at all, and so you have to explain to them. The Father is the ocean of knowledge, and you are to receive the inheritance from him. Those who belong to the original eternal deity religion in the golden age definitely received their inheritance. How did the whole kingdom receive the inheritance? It doesn't take long for it to become the golden age from the iron age. The night comes to an end and the day begins. There is a vast difference between the iron age world, the land of sorrow, and that land, the land of happiness. There is so much difference between the night of Brahma and the day of Brahma. You are now receiving knowledge from God, the Father. What was it that Saraswati used to do? No one knows. People simply received a picture of Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, and they became happy with that. Therefore, you have to caution them. You have to give them God's introduction. Then, you also have to give the introduction of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar. The Father came and gave this knowledge and changed ordinary humans into Narayan. Explain each one's occupation very tactfully. Saraswati is also a mouth-born creation of Brahma. Therefore, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, definitely came and created mouth-born creation through Brahma. To whom did he give knowledge first of all? It is said that the urn was given to Saraswati. They have removed Brahma from in between. No one knows that he entered the body of Brahma and gave the urn to the mothers. Therefore, Brahma too would surely listen to knowledge. They have also shown scriptures in the hands of Brahma. The directions of Brahma are very well known. So, he too would give directions that are the essence of all the Vedas and scriptures. Shivbaba explains through Brahma. Where did Brahma come from? Where did this chariot come from? No one knows. Baba is explaining now to you, and so you can explain it to others. Acha, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, BapDada. The spiritual father says, Namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children says, Namaste and good morning to the spiritual father. Essence for the dharana. First point, stay awake at night and churn the ocean of knowledge. Take a dip in the ocean of knowledge. Become conquerors of sleep by remembering the Father. Second point, continue to spin the discus of self-realization. Remind one another of the Father and your inheritance. Caution one another and continue to make progress. Blessing, may you be a powerful soul and transform wasteful into powerful by considering yourselves to be confluence aged. Explanation. This confluence age is a powerful age, so constantly remain aware. We live in the powerful age. We are children of the Almighty Father. We are powerful souls. Vestige will then finish. The Iron Age is vast, and since you have stepped away from the Iron Age and became Confluence Age, you have stepped away from West. If you remember even this just the time, then according to the time, you will perform actions naturally. For half a cycle, you had West thoughts and you perform wasteful actions. However, now, as is the time, as is the Father, so are the children. Slogan: those who always follow the godly rules are the master bestowers, the same as the Father, Brahma. Om Shanti